Now, this video originated, I guess, from a slight conversation I had with a couple of my subscribers. Pause for the cause. Shout out to all my subscribers, especially, and to all the other people. No offense to y'all who watch my videos and support what I do, because it means the work that I put in, hard work in this YouTube game, is not in vain. Now, y'all saw the title. That's why you clicked on the video. We talk about that one. We talk about One Piece. Saboady and Water 7 are not masterpieces. That's right. We're talking about the Saboady Archipelago arc and the Water 7 arc of One Piece. Now, I know this video is going to be a bit lengthy, to say the least. I don't know how long. I don't know if it's going to be a 30-minute one, but it doesn't matter. Y'all see it by the time y'all watch this video. I have to go in on this. Let me crank it back and to give y'all the basis of why this slight discussion even began. I had stated for one reason or another, because the dude was critical, is being critical of the Dressrosa arc, right? In some most recent One Piece review / discussion, y'all know how I do. If you don't, you can check me out. Anyways, so I had this discussion, and I'm like, yo, nah. Dressrosa, he's talking about, well, let me state this. I said Dressrosa to this point is the best arc in One Piece. And he's saying, are you basing it off of what has happened, or are you basing it off of potential? I said, I'm basing it off, simple put, story writing. And then he goes 2 words, Saboody Archipelago. And then I'm like, yo, you talking about, besides Dressrosa, we're talking about Marineford, Impel Down, what else did I put? In His Lobby, and even Arlong Park are all better arcs than Saboody. And then began this discussion, and I'm like, this is just like the Water 7 fanboyism. Now, I'll deal with both these arcs. And before I do, let me just address why the arcs that I mentioned are better arcs than these 2 arcs. But right before I do that, let me say this. Get this out the way. I like both arcs. Okay, I do. The Saboady Archipelago arc, I'm going to talk about it more in depth. But, I mean, it had some phenomenal elements to it. And dude mentioned them. He mentioned like 6. And I'm like, it's a very good arc. Don't get me wrong. But it's by no means a masterpiece. It's by no means the best arc in One Piece. Oh, no, far from it. And as far as Water 7 goes, Water 7's a good to maybe solid arc. Nothing more, nothing less. Both arcs were important. Saboody much more than, say, Water 7. Saboody, it was important to the plot, but not as important as people take it for. Understand this. Now, Dressrosa. So that people get this all kinds of confused. A lot of people are not liking Dressrosa for multiple reasons. First, it starts off with, right, that I don't know what they were expecting going into this arc. I didn't know what to expect myself. But, like, people were complaining, for example, in the anime, oh, why is Fujitora? Oh, what is it? Understand that the manga be skipping stuff. I like when the anime does that and adds some extra. I like that. You can say personal preference, whatever, but it's just better. Sometimes the anime does it better than the manga, because the manga skips stuff. I'm not even going to go into the whole situation with the Caesar clan versus Luffy was called the tug of war. I preferred that because I think it was done not poorly, but it wasn't executed that well in the manga. I'm just saying though. People be taking the manga like straight bot, like goth, like this is the best thing ever. Sometimes the manga makes mistakes. It does. Sometimes it doesn't execute as well as it does. I love Ichiro Oda, but that's why I'm glad for the anime, because sometimes the anime highlights things better or does it better. Anyways, so people are mad about that. But then you got people, oh, why are people introducing the Coliseum? I'm not even going to go off on that foolishness. It's a bunch of foolishness. And then people, they getting, oh, why is these fights getting what? Yo, fights. Look, think about this simple concept, okay? If I told you, just in conversation, we were talking whether boxing, MMA, or, just a fight in general, whether it be, 2 dudes about to go at it on the streets. You may have passed by, you may have just heard about it. If I told you, well, not much happened. Or if I just give you quick highlights, what's that gonna, what you gonna think? If I just give you a couple highlights, say this, and this happened, you'll think, well, not much happened, like I mentioned before, number one. Or number two, it wasn't really flight. It was either a slaughter, it was a couple blows were thrown. Let's get real, ladies and gents. A couple blows being thrown is not a fight. It might be a slight clash, it may be a skirmish. It is not a fight. Let me not go off, because people don't understand the fighter's perspective. Apparently not. Or dudes be they be in their mind, they be hyping junk up. First of all, not understanding power levels. Secondly, they just be fanboying. And thirdly, they just want to see fights. Let me tell you this really quickly. If you want to see fights, go to series. If you want to see fighting oriented stories, nothing wrong with them, because I love them myself. Trust me, I love them, like you wouldn't even know. Check out Holy Land, Berserk, or any of the Baki series. Those are the plot is heavily surrounded with fighting. Berserk is a little bit different, but still heavily surrounded with fighting. One Piece series like One Piece, Magi the Labyrinth of Magic, Toriko, and even Hunter x Hunter. While fighting is important, it is not the main focus. Understand this. There are other elements that are more important. And plus, if you do every single conflict, you're never going to get anywhere. Oh, why can't we go anywhere? I want to see other family. Shut the hell up, man. Being stupid. Anyways, that's what the anime is there for. It's to extend stuff, extend scenes, do all that throw blows and all that jazz. Anyway. But the Dressrosa arc has so many elements, ladies and gentlemen. I won't do a whole analysis on that. But just understand, if you're not a manga reader, you might get spoiled. That's just how it be. I mean, think of all that's happened. All the introductions in the Colosseum, that's just foreshadowing into what we're going to see. As well as alliances made. I mean, we seen enough. We seen Law go in on Doflamingo. We got more information on Doflamingo, backstory and everything. We're still not complete. We got an introduction of another admiral in the storyline. You feel me? And there's another admiral we haven't seen. Okay? We got another sense of justice, which was beautiful. We got Big Ma'am ship shoot, so it's like getting that hype. I mean, we get Sabo coming back. There's so much going on, and you want more? You greedy bastard. You greedy bastard. I'm just saying though. Now, with the Marineford arc, pre-time skip, it was simply the best arc in One Piece. Not because of its action, not because of its war, but because of all the elements that went into it. Okay? Let me say this now before I forget. Here's the thing, man. When people be all saying, oh, this is the best. Here's the difference between a normal viewer and someone who comes from a literary perspective such as myself. The normal viewer will either be into something because of the action horse attitudes, which I've talked about on several occasions. I even did it in Haters Gonna Hate episode 2 video. Okay, go check that out if you wish. Or it's all the emotions. Third option is both. Now, the most sophisticated is just both. I, on the other hand, while I do enjoy those things, obviously, I'm human, obviously. I mean, I'm Negro, I'm black, but I'm human, I'm a male. If you didn't notice, I'm communicating with y'all in English, if you didn't notice. Here's the thing. I'm looking for characterization, character development, plot progression, structure of the arc. You understand? Relevance to the plot. All these factors. Not subplots, relevance to the plot as a whole. How many subplots is it carrying? Like, will those deviate, distract us from the main, understand what the main intention? I'm all cool with subplots if they're executed properly. How well is an arc executed? You understand? All these elements. This is what I'm looking at. Marineford. Not only was it a peak of everything that led pre-time skip. Not only was it arc successive. If you just separate all that to look at the arc itself, I mean, you had so many big names. You had so many big names involved. You had Luffy's coming out party. That arc was so important to his overall goal of becoming Pirate King, because now the whole world knows him. Now the whole world fears him. You got, dude, I mean, we got stuff to look forward to. The foreshadowing. So many elements, that literary techniques that we use in that one arc alone, in a war arc nonetheless. It's beautiful. Most people aren't thinking about why they truly enjoy it. They saw the action, yeah. But I mean, think about it. Whitebeard, none of the most powerful really went all out. You got Doflamingo barely doing anything. Mihawk barely doing anything. Whitebeard, he went in, but he go all out. None of the admirals went all out. None of these people went all out. Boa Hancock, we just saw little samples of what people can do. But it was the best arc pre-time skip because of so many elements that it presented. Impel Down, oh my goodness, Impel Down was phenomenal. You know, Impel Down, you have to put it so far top 5 arcs in One Piece. I mean, from Luffy, I mean, we get the whole Revolutionary Army aspect of it. We find out, you know, we found out before, but just the impact on which led to Marineford. Well, we find out more of the impact of in Marineford. That's another element. But Impel Down, just the whole governmental organization, and there's so many things I could talk about Impel Down. But just understand that, I mean, the Awakened Zone, just Blackbeard Luffy versus Luffy, we get that confirmed. You know, that's something that's going to be down the line. We got Jinbei as a counselor. He played a huge role. I mean, Sir Crocodile, you know, some way allying with Luffy. You know, Buggy the Clown, Mr. 3, former villains or an antagonist are joining sides with Luffy. So that's huge in of itself. You understand? We meet a wonderful character like Warden Magellan, who's now Vice Warden Magellan. I mean, even Hannibal, the Vice Warden, was in, you know, his characterization was well done. So there's things to look forward to the future. Now, what I mentioned in his lobby, not to be confused with Water 7. What do I need to really say about in his lobby? All these did involve action, though. You know, pretty much all One Piece arcs involve action. But freaking in his lobby, man, the emote. Oh my goodness, Robin officially joined the. I mean, you got Frankie. I mean, the whole thing with Pluton, and then there's Pluton, the diagram, you know, the architect specs for the ancient weapon Pluton. You had CP9. Oh, them fights though. And then the clash with Dark Justice versus Luffy's View of Freedom, with Luffy versus Rob Lucci. Oh my goodness, that fight was the best fight in One Piece so far. Hands down, the best fight in One Piece so far. That was Luffy inventing Gear Second. I mean, you got Sanji inventing Diablo Jambe. You have Goofy also inventing Gear Third. You have, you know, Zoro with his Ashura and his Kyotaro. I could say so much. Nami going in, Chopper's monster form. Oh my goodness, what? All these elements, we see all the Rokishi stop. I mean, the train ride there, Soge King, the Elbaf, the connection with Usopp and the Giants, even more. And, you know, I can go on and on. Just all the story writing, the plot, all these other things. Then we want to talk about Harlem Park, though. Yeah, for the longest time, all along, up until Rob Lucci hit the scene, all along was the best villain in One Piece, hands down. All along, this dude here, straight up flashback. I mean, just murdered Nami's mom, adoptive mom, Bellamere. Just cold-blooded. It was ruthless. I mean, the ideological clash. I often talk about what Luffy said. His short speech, his short statement. He's like, you know, I can't really use swords. I can't navigate. I suck at cooking. I can't even lie well. But what I can do is, you know, as a captain, you know, is be a captain and kick your ass and kick ass. And it's like, he understand his role, and the development we got from Luffy, the development we got from Nami, the characterization. I mean, both of them. Then with Usopp's characterization, all the Straw Hat. Well, Zoro and Sanji kind of got that into the Baratie arc. But Luffy, Nami, and Usopp, all that characterization, character development, the battles, those fights were phenomenal. They were absolutely phenomenal. You got the people of Kokoyoshi Island. Like, just going into that, I could make a whole video on that. So all this is to say, all those arcs, better. All better for so many reasons, some of which I stated, but I can't go full in because this video ain't trying to make 2 hours long. Now to Saboady Archipelago. First of all, number one, what should I do? How should I do this? Let me do the criticisms of why it is not as good as people do, both arcs, and then we'll call it a video. Although I do respect the whole Kuma situation, Admiral Kizaru coming there, and a full thing. Number one, we get there. We travel with Hachi, the mermaid girl, I forget what her name was, and Papung, the starfish dude, with the Jamaican Rasta hat. Okay? We are the Rasta hat. We travel with them to Saboady Archipelago. And here's the thing, Saboady was supposed to be a rest stop before we went to Fishman Island, but it got extended. That's number one. It was supposed to be a transition period, and I'm not knocking Oda for his thing because he did drop another thing, but that's one knock aboard. And not only that, it's the dispersion, the diaspora, however you want to say it. Oda, what the mess? Like, yo, this was supposed to be just a stopover, and you made it a 2-year wait. Not literally in a real time, I don't think, but it was a 2-year time skip. You could say, well, training and all this and that, that's gravy. But the Straw Hats were this under, but Luffy was the third most, or was it fourth? He was either the third or fourth most powerful of the supernovas. And Zoro was a supernova as well. Really? But apparently Eustace, Captain Kidd was more prepared. Trafalgar Law, Scratching all these cats were more prepared than Luffy now for the New World? What? So that in of itself is all kinds of king. That's another point. Not only was it a rest stop that was extended, doggone Luffy, apparently the Straw Hats were this ill prepared for the New World, but somehow the rest could go. And then we find out later, this is, you could say retrospect, that, none of the crews apparently were destroyed. But jewelry, I don't know, man. That's not really knocking criticism, because we don't know exactly what happened. But, that's just like, no, that's two knocks. Did you think about this whole situation, man? We think about this whole situation. You got Admiral Kizaru coming in there. Why? Why was an admiral sent? Why was it? I mean, they think about it like this. Enies Lobby sent, the Buster Call was 10 vice admirals. Why was a vice admiral not sent? You want to talk about overkill? Not only that, Bartholomew Kuma, and you could say, well, he saved the Straw Hats or whatever. Kizaru and Kuma. Why? Overkill, unnecessary. And when the dude want to say, well, the true power of the admirals, which we did not see. What you mean? You didn't get a sense of what the true power of the admirals were from Aokiji? You saw what he did with Luffy. Clean him up in a matter of doggone. It wasn't. And this is why I'm talking about not show. People talk about, oh, why do you don't show fights? Because you get samples of Aokiji versus Luffy. This what you get. You get cleaned up, not even a challenge. You get a 2-minute maybe. And then people be disappointed. Why is Oda? Because he don't want to embarrass fools. That's why. You want to at least give him a shred of credibility and mystery. And And then we see, you can say, oh, Rayleigh clashing with Kizaru. Now, it was nice to see what Rayleigh could do, but in the end, it didn't matter because Kuma comes in here and pause. How is that good? I'm sorry, the story, right, it's confusing. Why was it necessary for them to be dispersed? They didn't die. Nobody dies. If you're going to do that, somebody's got to die. And you can say, well, you build up. It's problematic, man. You could take it multiple ways, but it's problematic. They got to get dispersed all across everywhere. And we find out later that Kuma was connected in some ways to the revolution. But then it's like, how does Kuma know where to send them all? Kuma didn't really know them. He met them one time before, back in Thriller Bark. And back then, see, it would have been different if he showed some way of befriending the Straw Hats, but no, that didn't happen. Although he didn't take them in or kill them, it wasn't his business to do so anyway. Maybe he thinks they're special. I'm just looking at this. Now, of course, there's great elements to Punch of the World, the Tenryubito, aka World Noble, aka Celestial Dragon. One of the most satisfying moments I've seen in probably fiction up to this point. One of the most satisfying moments. That was wonderful. I mean, we did get the slavery elements. Doflamingo was hinted at, and just different things. But I mean, Saboody, just those 2 or 3 facts alone, it's like, no, it's nowhere near masterpiece level. The construction of the arc was problematic. Literally, it was problematic. Okay? It was a very good arc with all these elements, but just those 3 things were very problematic and made no sense. The fact is, and here's another reason why. Because of what happened in Marine 4. Or in Impel Down. Okay. Luffy goes in and he wrecks things by himself. All the Straw Hats went in and wrecked in his lobby. But Luffy goes in and he causes havoc on Impel Down. And then Marine 4. And then the thing. Marine 4 negates Saboody. It does. It negates a lot of the impact of Saboody. Just being real, it does. Now, on to Water 7, because enough of that. I don't want to beat a dead horse. Water 7. All the fanboys. First of all, like I said, I may have stated already in this video, I cannot remember. I can't stand when people combine Water 7 with Enies Lobby. They are 2 distinct arcs. They are not one long arc. Just go back in the anime and see how long each arc. Seriously. That's like trying to tell me that the doggone Saiyan Saga and the Namek Saga or Namek arc, and you could say, yeah, the Frieza Saga and Frieza arc were kind of 2 separate between the Namek and Frieza. That's debatable. But that the Saiyan to the Namek, all those events were all just one long arc. That's like trying to tell me in the Hunter x Hunter storyline that the Hunter exam and the short arc of the Zoldyck family arc was all one arc. Doesn't make sense, does it? That's like trying to tell me that what is it? The BB Corn arc somehow was or was the Vegetable Sky, I can't remember which came right before the Ice Hell arc, was all one arc. You could go throughout all, I also make a distinction between the Magno Star arc and the Magno Star War arc. People try to say that's one long. No. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because there are differences. There's a extreme change in focus. The ideological conflicts are different. Like I said, it just changes. The objectives are different. The goals are different. You understand? The cast of characters often changes a bit. And there's just differences. Okay, I don't like I said, I don't want to extend this to like a ridiculous amount of time. I want to keep this video as short as possible. Now, Water 7. And this also was a shot, and I told the person this. This is a shot fired to those who say One Piece doesn't get good till Water 7. All those people act like they ain't read for all these hundreds of chapters. Watch all these episodes. They ain't seen it. Water 7, man. While I enjoyed it, it was not much. First of all, not much even happened. Let's think about the objectives of even going to Water 7. Understand this. The purpose of going to Water 7 was for what? To get a shipwright. Which didn't happen to the very, very end of In His Lobby. So objective failed. It was, a chill spot. The events of Water 7, not much happened. They chilled for like the first third of the arc. Even Punk Hazard, that didn't happen. You could say Jaya, but Jaya is somewhat a separate arc from Skypiea, so you can't use that. I mean, I don't know what arc besides Water 7 have they chilled as long as they have. I'm not knocking it, but that's just what happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, filler episode, I don't know what's filler and what's not. I'm just saying though. So that's that. The fact is, we get fooled, cause I'm thinking, was it Paul? Y'all know the rope dude. I'm thinking he's gonna be the doggone shipwright. No, it turns out to be the underground boss Frankie. Now that's kind of interesting thing that Oda did. So I'm not gonna knock him, but we were misled. At least I was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Frankie goes from being this dude, and he did a real change up to made Oda, if you could say a flaw, the character of Frankie made no sense. And the fact is, he goes from this dude who's all this to when he meets Usopp, he's a completely different character. It's like, Oda, you could have done a bit better with that one. You could have done, I dudes know. I'll be the first to criticize what critique needs to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, Oda could have done better with Frankie's transition. A hell of a lot better. Okay? Now, also, and the fact is, we go back to Water 7 after In His Lobby. Like, you feel me? That's what people get it twisted. Because we go back to Water 7, they think, oh, it's just one big... No, it's not just one big arc. The conflict. What was the conflict, really? Can you tell me an overall conflict? Because I don't know one. And One Piece, practically every other arc... Now, I'm not saying it needs to be this massive blah, blah, blah. But can you tell me, since it's so great, what was the overall ideological conflict? The only one that we really got, well, we got two. But the second one was a lead up till In His Lobby. It was the whole thing with Robin. But there wasn't even a conflict till In His Lobby, really. Because we just know she just left. So we think she's leaving the crew. Big whoop. Now the real conflict was with the Usopp versus Luffy. Luffy versus Usopp, however you want to prefer, how you prefer saying it. It was that conflict. And it was over, the going Mary and how much Mary meant, And while that was important, oh please, but then it was completed in His Lobby after that scene though, Mary's death, the going Mary's death. Oh my goodness, the moment I truly did cry in One Piece. That moment. But that's your biggest conflict? I mean, Zoro came in and it's the thing about being a captain. Luffy didn't really grow. Usopp kind of grew, but not really. Like, there wasn't much characterization and character development besides a bit on Robin, a wee bit on Luffy, a wee bit on Usopp. Of course, Frankie was introduced. But other than that, Galila, shipwrights, we're on a little bit of this. We meet, Iceberg's son. Iceberg was good. It was quite good. I mean, the backstory with Was that in Water 7? I mean, the backstory, Frankie's backstory, it was well done. Tom and all that, it was well done. You know what I'm saying? But you could say it's on par with most of the other Straw Hats, to say the least. I'm just being real. This is not me being hard. I just keeping it real with the people. Water 7 really didn't do all that much. It was a good arc. I'm not hating on it, but it wasn't really there. And the finish is off. So overall, I'm finishing this off. People, really take a second look. Reevaluate what your criteria for things are. If it's for action, then go on that. If it's for the emotional context, go on that as well. Or, go on that. If it's for actual plot, if it's for, character development, characterization, whatever your criteria is, I'm not knocking you. This is where it comes to personal preference. But don't be trying to do a whole bunch of jumble and confusion of what your criteria is, because here's what I can't stand when people, and when I say can't stand, it's not just dislike. I can't stand when people aren't consistent. They're not constant. Like, they'll make a criticism here, but won't apply that same criticism. You understand what I'm saying? I won't go off on things I can, but I see it even in everything. I see it every day almost. People do not apply the same criticisms that they have. Now, while I have certain criteria, there may be exceptions to rules. There's a difference between having an exception to rule and not being consistent. Okay? For example, some people get it twisted. They say, well, you have Rayleigh so high, so why don't you have Garp? First of all, they're two different characters. Secondly, Garp hasn't been proven to have Conqueror's Hockey. Thirdly, as far as I know, Rayleigh's quite a few years younger than Garp. Okay? But it's not just an exception, because I had Whitebeard and Sengoku up there as well. So it depends. When you're talking about character to character, it's completely different. But when you're talking about, arc to arc, you know what I'm saying? When you're talking about characterization, when you're talking about character development, when you're talking about what makes a story this and what makes a story that, you need to have a consistent way of leveling the play. Well, besides just leveling the play field, you need to have a consistent way of judging and analyzing what it is. If you actually analyze. Because this is my final comment. Too often people are way too subjective. Way too subjective. There is objectivity. Okay? Art is objective. Believe it or not. Yes, there's personal preferences, which, I'll be the first to mention there is. That's when it comes to favorites. That's not when it comes to quality. Okay? I expect you to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts on this subject. I know I might get some hate. I know some will disagree with me. But I've laid out reasons as to why these arcs are overrated. Reasons as to why these arcs aren't as pivotal as what people claim they are. And, I just keep it 1,000. Y'all know I comment. So, till next time, y'all. Peace. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night.